Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. If you're like me, you might have a can or a bucket of old household paint lurking somewhere in your garage or basement. This one is from 2009. If that's the case, this project is for you. We are pretty much making canvases or mini canvases, canvases in book form, art journals and journal covers, and placemats. And we'll be doing lots of painting, beading. We'll pretty much be doing everything that you see here. And we're using fabric and household paint. Theoretically, you can use any paint, but nevertheless, let's get started. I have a piece of fabric here and I'm going to paint it. Any fabric will do, as you'll soon see. And I'm using this card, this plastic card, to quickly spread the paint. Quickly, as in there's no need to work quick. It doesn't like dry quickly or anything. We just want to get as many done as quickly as possible. So this project was born out of my need to get rid of old paint. Because you can't just dispose of paint in your regular rubbish, it has to be disposed of responsibly. And I was looking for an easy way out, basically. I didn't want to have to drive to a drop-off point or anything like that. And so I Googled, how can you dispose of paint? And one of the things that I saw was that you can pour old paint onto an old piece of cloth or towel, let it dry, and then throw it in the bin. And then, of course, I had the idea of not throwing the paint away, but rather using it to paint fabric. And I gave it a go, and here we are. So as you've noticed, I leave the white margins all around. That is just personal preference. As you can see here, I like the white kind of poking out. So that's the only reason why. Otherwise, it would be easier just to go with your brush all over the edges as well. But I'm kind of being a little bit meticulous here with these edges because I like to have that white border. So like I said, I've had this paint since 2009. And it's actually, when I opened it, it was separated into blocks of chunks of paint and then a liquid up the top, this much liquid. And I simply just stirred it all together and look how, it looks brand new. It is pretty much as good as new. Okay, at this point, when one side is completely saturated in paint or covered with paint, I let this dry. And after this side is dry, it doesn't take very long. After it's dry, I flip it around and I repeat on the other side. And now I'll let this dry. And here it is, nice and dry and ready to go. You can draw on it, paint on it, pour water on it, glue stuff on it, you name it. It is perfectly beautiful and scrumptious. Okay, so that's the basics. That's like the basic thing that you can do with paint. Now we're going to have a little play. What else can we do with this? So now I thought I will show you if you want to have this kind of a look, like a newspaper. You can see a full image here. That's something else that you can do with this, and I'm going to show you how you can get this result. So after the first side is painted as usual, I grab a little bit of newspaper and I grab the painted side that's still wet, place it down onto the newspaper. and really like press it down. And then I go ahead and paint this side as usual. And then this is how I let it dry. You can, if you want, go ahead and press another piece of newspaper on top and smush it down, but I'm happy with just one side having newspaper. So I'm going to let this dry and then I'll show you what we do next. All right, so here it is, nice and dry. And now what we're going to do is basically peel it off because it's stuck. It's like glue. The paint is like glue. It's stuck on this newspaper. You can do this technique with napkins, music paper. I mean, you name it, anything that's nice and thin. And now we're just peeling off. Did I say it's like glue? All right, admittedly, this one, perhaps I was a little bit too eager when I was pressing it down. So basically what I do, I just spray it with a little bit of water and then remove just the top layer. Can you see that? It's all coming off. And then you just keep kind of going until you're satisfied with the amount that you have removed. This is looking quite solid. It looks almost as if it's printed, and you know, that's not such a bad thing. It's looking quite good. So I'm not sure why I sprayed more water, but here I am. Okay, I'm definitely going to leave it there. I like how this looks and it's beautiful. Look how beautiful this looks. And it's ready, it's a little canvas ready to go. I can have this as my journal cover or a page in my art journal. Now I want to try a few more things. Here I'm going to use upholstery fabric and it's not flat. It has some raised kind of embossed, let's say, effect. And I'm gonna go ahead with this one and see how it turns out. Now, while it's still wet, I just want to see what will happen if I try and remove some paint. I don't think really anything happened. I'm going to use another piece of fabric and might as well transfer some paint onto the fabric. Less painting to be done on this one. I actually love how this looks. I'm going to let this dry and then I'll do the other side exactly the same way. Now that I'm on a roll with this one, I'm going to try something different. I've just got a little bit of cardstock here. I'm going to apply some paint and put this over the top and see what happens. Pretty much jelly printing what I'm doing here without the jelly plate. All right, let's see. Oh yes, I do like that. Yes, I do. Might as well use up all of this paint. Now I'm gonna go in with another color. I wonder what will happen if I use some stamps. I haven't got anything on the stamp. I'm just stamping on top of the paint. And I'm gonna go with this one again. And see what happens, if anything. Yeah, not great. You can see the brush strokes. Yep, I'm covering it. Maybe now I can go in with the stamp. Okay, that's something to consider. It's looking not bad. I think I want to do the edges too. Alright, that's looking alright. I mean, I don't know what I like unless I try it. I'm not a fan of those edges, but I don't mind it. I'm going to let this one dry and I'm going to do the back in probably just one color. All right, let's have a look at my yield. I just had, as I put this on screen, I had an idea. Something like this would be really cool to do little paintings and then maybe have a third one, bigger one down the bottom and attach them with twine. Something like this. You can also use tree, like branches, something like this, and make a little wall hanging artwork. Anyway, I'm just speaking thoughts aloud. Anyway, as you can see, I have some smaller mini canvases. I just love the idea of this so much. And then I have the clear, you know, just a plain. I'm not a fan of this yellow color, but it is what I have. And so I'm using it. I'm sure I have some white paint somewhere, but I can't find it. All right, this one here, I didn't do a whole bunch of rubbing. So this is, you saw me do this on screen. When I spray it with water, you will see a face emerge. Do you see it? It's upside down. Maybe you see it now. See the face? So that's what happens if you don't rub. If you know, when it dries, it leaves a film of nothingness and you can't see the image. Okay, so that's why that rubbing action is so important. But anyway, I can always go back to this one, and I actually don't mind it looking the other way as well. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one as it is. You can see when it's drying, you completely stop seeing the face, but where I use the rubber, you can start seeing what's underneath. But I don't mind this either, and especially because I'm a journal maker and a journaler and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to make this into an art journal. And look how beautiful this looks as an instant background. Love it. So that one stays as it is. This one here, I was trying and failing with some of this stuff. This is like the decoupage, Tim Holtz decoupage kind of thing, but it's very waxy, so it did not work. And this is what I'm left with, which it's not a total failure. Of course, I can still use this. And then this is the one we've just done on screen, and also this one. And when you're looking at it like this, it looks messy, but when it's part of a project, then it will be different. Now this one, it might seem like that beautiful fabric was now ruined with this paint, but the thing is, it's hardened the fabric, that's for sure, and given me perhaps a journal cover or a page in a journal. Now I can come in and add my own artwork onto this. It's just an idea worth trying out. And then of course we've got the newspaper ones, and what's this one? Just a blank one. So now what I thought I'll do is, just to give you some more inspiration, I thought I would go ahead and make this into something. And first I want to do something like this. So I'm going to do something like this on screen. I'm going to choose different colors. I'm not going to go with so bright as this one here, but just to inspire you kind of where you can go from here. Now obviously you can use just any paint to do this kind of thing. It doesn't have to be household paint, but as I said, I have the paint, the old paint, and I was looking for, you know, projects I could do or way to get rid of it really, and using it as background and preparing your canvases ahead of time. And then you can come in with your markers, with your paints, with your pens, and you can create artworks in your art journal, which is what this is. So anyway, let's have some fun with this, shall we? So first thing I want to do is create my book. I'm going to make a book, obviously. So I'm going to choose some pages for my book. All right, here's what I'm thinking of doing. And this is just a thought process. And of course you can keep it simple and just use your one size fabrics, fold them in half and create your book. What I'm thinking of doing is something like this. This is going to be my front cover, and I didn't fold it in half. I left it short on one side just so it can go all the way to the edge of the journal. And then at the back, of course, maybe I can use a smaller piece like this. I can sew it on. I like that idea. And then these are my pages, and I love the fact that I get one very large kind of canvas, let's say, to work on. And then this here, I am going to create maybe a pocket or something, I'm not sure. And then when you open it here, this opens up like so. And then we have this whole section of canvas space and interactive elements and fun. And then maybe, I don't know, what was I thinking of doing with this one? Maybe I can just put it in there. All right, so this is all something that I'm going to come back to later, because for now, at least I know this is going to be my front cover. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have a play, and you can get inspired with the kind of way that I go about creating this thing, if this is your kind of jam. So I'm gonna create a little painting here, or perhaps it's more of an, I don't know, abstract painting with paint vomit, let's call it. And then I'll create the book. Because I can't actually paint, if I could, I would draw some beautiful flowers and amazing scenery and that kind of thing. But since I can't, I'm good at just adding marks and paints onto a piece of paper. So, and what I've got here is just some colors. And then here, this is the main part I wanted to show you. These are my mark making tools. So I have some lids and some of these foam shapes and cork things and more lids, all sizes. We have small circles, we have larger circles, we have tiny little circles this is from a lip liner, and so on and so forth. So these are all my mark making tools. I also have been known to come in with some rubber stamps, and just you can use stencils, you can use your nails, you can use brushes, anything that can make some marks on your little canvas. So first thing I'm going to do is just start adding some color. My goal is to make this a little bit more uniform and less busy than this one here. I don't work with these kind of colors the best, so I'm going to stick with my usual color palette, which is browns and golds and, you know, that kind of thing. And at this point, the idea is not to fully cover my canvas, of course. Well, I like the effect of those, like scratching while the paint is still wet. I like the look of that. It's looking good so far. All right, so now that I've added a little bit of paint, I'm gonna start using my mark making tools. So I'm gonna do circles, and I'm gonna do whatever I have on hand. Little styrofoam pieces and even makeup sponges and more lids. I'm just gonna start just adding and adding and adding until I'm happy, even though I think this looks quite all right. But luckily you can't go wrong with this kind of thing, because you can always paint over it if you don't like it. All right, I wasn't a big fan of that one. I want to go in with some circles, and I'm feeling a bit wild. I think I'm going to go with this orange color. I don't know, will it ruin it, do you think? Well, we shall soon find out. All right, so that's that one. Now I'm going to do this leaf stamp with a little bit of gold. I mean black. We're going in with black. Okay, now I'm going to go in with some black circles while I've got the black here. And you know, you're just instinctively playing around. I'm going to keep going until I'm happy with how this looks. And remember, when you're looking at it like this, it's not going to look as good as when it's actually a project. Well, for me anyway, for what I'm doing here. If you are good at this kind of thing, if you can paint, and you know, lucky you. Okay, now I'm feeling perhaps I need a little bit of white. I have these paint markers. I'm gonna go in with that. It's essentially just acrylic paint in a marker. I feel like this needs life, something to liven it up. So I'm gonna go in with a glitter glue, because I have it, so why not? Oh yes, I'm going for it. This is gonna take ages to dry, but I'll put it outside and hope for the best. I think it will be worth it. And besides, I never use this stuff, so I might as well use it up. Now I'm gonna go in with gold. You know, for the longest time, I didn't understand the point of glitter glue, because I thought when you're gluing something down, you can't see the glue, because the glue is in between two layers of something, two layers of paper or whatnot. until I realized that you don't use glitter glue to glue stuff down. You use it for this kind of thing. And glitter in general is not something that I would go out of my way to buy. If I see it again at an op shop, I might get more. Who knows? I want to add some white lines, and I'm going to try and use a whiteout pen. All right, I'm going to let this dry because I have huge chunks of glitter paint there that needs to dry, and then I will come back and decide where to go from here. I can keep on adding into oblivion. You know, I feel like I need more and more and more, and that's the thing, like I don't know where to stop, and then I find that it starts looking too busy. And you know, there's only so many circles that you can add. I keep adding circles and whatnot because that's pretty much all that I know, really. So I always say, just keep going until you're happy, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to take this outside and hope for no bird poo. All right, while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to have a little play with what I have here and do a little bit of sewing, and I'll be right back and show you what I've done. All right, let me show you what I have so far. Just sewn all around this one and also sewn all around this one. I'm just making my little book now. I'm gonna have them layered so you can see all the sewing bits. Now this one here, I sew in a pocket here, and then this opens up over here and a pocket there. So this goes into my book. It's gonna look something like this. And then I also have this little piece, a little mini canvas that can go into this pocket. Maybe I'll put this side in. There we go, just like so. We have, you know, frayed edges, uneven edges. That's looking quite good. As a little journal on its own, you can bind this and call it done. But I'm still waiting for that cover to dry. I might as well add another piece. Maybe I'll do the newspaper one right here in the middle. All right, here we go. That's gonna go right there in the middle, and I'm gonna call this one ready to go. Just waiting on that cover. And while I'm waiting, I might as well make another journal. Well, I have to show you this one. This was supposed to be a page that's gonna go into the journal, and I'm loving it too much that I want to leave it as it is, a whole, rather than fold it in half and put it in a journal, even though it would look quite nice. This is your typical one thing led to another kind of a thing, where I just did a wiggly kind of straight line following the paint, and then I did the zigzag line, and then I thought, oh, I think I'm going to use my pinking shears, and this is what I ended up with. You can make placemats. I love that idea. Placemats. All right, I'm leaving this to the side. I'm not going to put it in this journal. And since that's the case, I decided to put some handmade paper into the journal instead. Now I'm just playing around with the final touches, and I'm thinking of putting a book plate. I have a tutorial on these. I've done that ages ago, but I'm thinking of something more like this. This is just cork, and I'm thinking of perhaps doing something like this instead of this. I think they both look really well. All right, I'm in the middle of binding, and I thought I'll show you how I'm adding the beads to the spine. And we'll do the binding together for the next journal, the original journal. But what I did here is I'm doing 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So 3 holes, one in the middle, one up here, one down here. I went in through the middle hole, and then I added the beads. Now I'm gonna go back inside the journal through the top hole, and now I'm going down through the bottom hole. And again, I'm going to add beads. So I'm changing needles and adding my beading needle. I spoke about this in the last video. Oh, the best thing ever. And now I'm gonna add the beads. All right, all the beads are on. Again, I'm changing the needle. And now go back in through the middle hole. Here I am. All right, that's looking real nice. I'm going to tighten and tie a knot and a double knot and a triple knot, because why not? All right, so that's nice and bound. Ooh, Woohoo! I'm loving it. And now all I have to do is to add the book plate. So I'm going to glue that down, and lovely. I'm going to lay this under something heavy and go and get the other cover. And here it is. It is almost dry. I'm just going to sew around because, I mean, all the sewing obviously is optional, but I might as well. Like in this one, no sewing. Anyway, I'll do that and then I'll come back and I will answer all of the questions that you may be having. All right, here it is. Ready or not, onto the cover it goes. So some of the questions you might have: does it smell like paint? For the first day or two, yes, it does smell like paint a little bit. I'm just thinking what I want to do here. Do I want to have a short cover? I don't demand to look at it. Or I might have a long cover, covering up all the goodness, like so. And then for the back, I was going to do this, which I completely forgot about. What do I want to do? How does this go? Not very good. I've decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm layering all of the layers, and now I'm noticing that this isn't straight, and I'm sure you wouldn't notice if I didn't point it out. But am I here for perfection? Generally, yes, I am. But when something goes wrong, then most definitely no, I'm not about perfection. So let's get this done. I'm thinking about a book plate. I'm going to do that last because I'm going to do the binding now. But first things first, I'm going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Poke 3 holes, one in the middle. It's not easy, very thick. One down the bottom and one up the top. I'm going to bind it with this crochet string in through the middle. Quite thick layers here. I have upholstery fabric and I have all this paint and all sorts of stuff happening, so we will get there. Now we're going in through the top. Well, that one went through very easy. And then down through the bottom hole. Alrighty. And then back in through the middle, and here I am. Another question you might have is perhaps about the needle, the sewing needle that I used. Yes, it is, we have paint and fabric and it's quite thick. I use a universal needle in my sewing machine. I don't have any special sewing machine, just the cheapest one I could find. And I use that needle for everything and it's fine. Another question you might have is it waterproof? Maybe you have that question, I don't know. Well, if you've ever painted your walls or doors or whatever, and doors, I don't know. I don't think I've ever painted doors. When you get paint on you, you know that the paint doesn't wash off. So this is here to stay. You can add wet medium, hence the art journal. I'm calling it an art journal rather than a writing journal. And you can add any medium on top and it's, it's good to go. As you can see here on the front cover, I have added layers of this wet glue and nothing went through onto the other side. Look at that, pristine perfection. Okay, actually I just want to tell you here, in case if you like this kind of look, what I did here, when I finished the binding, instead of tying it off, tying it here, tying a bow, chopping it off, I made another hole right up the top, just another hole right up the top, and I brought both of the strings through the hole onto, the outside. So if I was to do that here, which I'm not gonna, but poke another hole there, and then that goes through, both of the strings go through, and then they're on the other side, and you can, add beading and whatnot. But for now, I'm just chopping it off. Now I'm thinking of using this one, or maybe this one. I'm just going to go with this one, and I'm going to glue it right on top. All right, and here's what we have. So I'll just quickly show you inside and then we'll continue with the questions. Well, we might want to continue with the questions as I'm flipping. I'm loving this. Like, imagine when this is all filled with art, painting, I'm imagining big florals, flowers, whimsical houses maybe. You can do collage. You can do whatever tickles your fancy. And then the back here, perhaps I could sew another piece to extend these pages a little bit, perhaps like this. And lovely. So another question you might have is maybe what type of fabric can you use? And I don't know, you might not have this question, but I just wanted to point out that this here was a kitchen towel and it had a stain on it that couldn't be washed out. And would you look at this? There's no stain. The paint completely covers everything. And you can see in this one, there's absolutely no sewing. And it's really unnecessary, really, because of how this is going to be used with all the paints and colorful whatevers. Okay, so kitchen towel, this one, love it. What other questions might you have? You're gonna have to, if I don't think of your questions, you're gonna have to put them down in the comments section. Should we do something here? Yes, I'm gonna go in with this little sticker. We are exploring art and freedom of expression and being messy, perhaps. Doing something out of our comfort zone, like all this painting is definitely out of my comfort zone. But I'm quite happy with it, and that's all that counts. I don't think I've shown you inside of this one. I have a handmade paper in there, and then places perhaps to paint and to write. Because why not? And to collage, write, paint, collage, glue, which pretty much is what collage is, and just, you know, explore. Let me think of something else you might want to know. Can you write on it? You might want to know if you can write on it. Well, for example, this one here, as you can see up close, it is very textured. The material comes through, whatever material you're using. So you can see my kitchen towel, you can actually see it, right? So this would be difficult to write on. Also, the upholstery fabric as well might be, actually it's not too bad. You can write on that. And then things like this, again, this fabric has texture. That texture does come through, and you can use textures and markers and stuff like that. But if you're to write with a pen, I mean, you can definitely write on it, but obviously, you know, if you look at this one, nice and smooth, much smoother. So yes, that can definitely be written on. What else? Okay, you don't have to use household paint. Obviously, you can use any paint, your acrylic paints, your chalk paints. This will work with any paint you have. You might wonder if the paint will crack. And the reason why I thought of that question is because I was going to say, yes, you can use household paint on paper as well. So you can do this whole thing with paper rather than fabric. In which case, when you fold the paper, you might find, you might not, I'm not sure, but depending on how thick your paint is, that the paint might crack. On this, the paint doesn't crack. And another beautiful thing, because we're using fabric, if you've noticed how I kept folding it this way and then moving the fold, when you do that with paper, once you fold it, it stays there. The fold, you can't get rid of it. Whereas with this, eventually, that fold that you've created kind of flattens out. So it's almost like it's alive. If I do this, it's just gonna gradually go back home, but I'm not going to wait here forever. So I can't actually think of any other questions that you may have. So if I haven't answered your question, you're going to have to pop it down in the comments. And you can also, of course, make tags, and we've made journal covers, we've made canvases in book form, I like to call them. You can make mini canvases like this. You can frame them if you want. You can make placemats. I'm not sure about, you know, if you're using newspaper. Will it eventually wash off? I really don't know. The paint most definitely will not wash off. So that's fun. And I love the look of this. Maybe not the football player picture, but I think it might be better if it was just writing. Maybe like music book pages or something like that. I have a few more left that I can play around with. And these are the fabrics that I still want to paint. So I had them ready, and I actually did iron them as well as I could. But anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say today. I think I covered everything, and I really do hope you feel inspired. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.